In the last video we saw what has been India's growth in total cases reported on a day-to-day basis from the time when the lockdown started on March 23rd to May 18th when the fourth phase of the lockdown started. On 25th of March, India reported 81 cases, while during the lockdown beginning of 4, we reported 4,450 new COVID cases per day. So there has been an exponential increase over this time. So what has happened in lockdown 4? During lockdown 4, there are a lot of things which have happened. Increased mobility has started. Migrant laborers have returned to their city, home city. Train services already have resumed partially, and more number of trains are going to run over next 5 or 7 days. Public transport has started at least in most part of the country. Air traffic, domestic air travel will start. International air traffic also is going to start in June first week according to sources. And also commercial activity and business activity and shops have opened almost all parts of the country except from containment zones. And interstate transport from one state to another also has started. These things are necessary because we cannot shut down the country for months together. So we need to open up. So these things will increase the spread of corona, while on the right side you can see here that we have increased awareness of virus, which has going on increasing over past couple of months. There is increased production of PPE, increased number of hospital beds made available, and also the importance of universal masking and social distancing has been communicated to the public during the entire lockdown period. So we have increased awareness on one side, increased mobility on other side, and the balance of these two will decide that which way the country is heading. If you look at the number of daily cases till now, the same chart as I had shown earlier, if we see the increase in number of cases between 30th March to 6th April, it has increased by around 4 times. That is, always we should remember, once a lockdown starts, once a restriction starts, after 2 weeks only the results of that lockdown will happen. So around 23rd March the lockdown started. So an exponential increase of cases from 30th March to 6th April decreased from 4 to 1.7. Since then, there has been a steady decline in the rate at which the daily number of cases are reported. You can see from 4, at the end of third lockdown, the increase was much flatter. As you can see here, much flatter, it was 1.2. So 11th March it was 3,517 and 18th March it was 4,145. So the increase was only 1.2. So there was a slight flattening at the end of third lockdown. So if it continues further from 18th March also, and it is same thing continues, how the India's trajectory will go. At 15th June, so if the weekly basis, it is going to increase by 1.2. That is the best case scenario. We do all the social distancing, everybody wears mask, travel is very essential travel only people do. Then at the end of 15th June, we will have around 7,997 cases per day being reported. That is the best case scenario, and for this, to achieve this, every Indian has to do their best. Scenario 2 is travel increases, which is happening currently. Decrease, not everybody wears the mask, social distancing norms are not followed, and governments are not very proactive in tracing the cases and isolating them, and testing it doesn't happen the way it has to happen. Then the increase in ratio from 1.2, it will increase by 1.5 on week to week basis. If that happens, from on 25th of May there will be 6,000 cases, and 1st of June there will be 9,300 cases, 8th of June there will be 13,989 cases, and then the 15th June India will be reporting around 20,000 cases per day. So there is a small, if there is an increase from 1.2 to 1.5, as you can see there will be exponential difference between the blue line and the red line. If scenario 3 is almost normal, where none of us do any precautions, normal travel, very low masking, less than 20-30% people wear mask and they don't wear it properly, and very poor tracing and isolation, that is almost the worst case scenario. So, the number of cases increase will be 1.6. So, at the end of 15th June, India will be reporting 27,000 cases per day. So, everything depends on three things: how we respond to the pandemic as a country, as a citizens. If you do it very well, at the 15th June, we will have 8,000 cases. If we totally mess up things, we will have 27,000 cases per day. It's a per day cases. So, and if we moderately do things, okay, then we will have 20,000 cases being reported on 15th June. So, this is till now I was speaking about how many cases are reported per day. If we look at the cumulative cases, as we know, on 18th May, India had 1 lakh cases. According to scenario 1, that is the best case scenario, as I told you, on 15th June, India will have 2.6 lakh cases. So, that is not a very bad number when compared to scenario 2, when India will have 4.3 lakh cases. Scenario 2 is the one where the number of cases will increase by 1.5. And scenario 3 is the worst case scenario, like India totally messes up things. So, on that case, we will have 5 lakh cases at the end of 15th June. So, whatever relaxation we do now, the effect of that is going to come in 2 weeks. So, around 10th May, 12th May is the time India started relaxing a bit. Around 15th May, the relaxation hiked up further. So, around June 1st, we may see an exponential rise of cases if the social distancing norms and maskings are not followed properly. As an Indian, like everybody else, I wish we have the best case scenario and India will report only 2.6 lakh cases at the end of 15th June. But logic says that it will be much higher. Most probably it will be closer to the scenario 2, and if things are not controlled, it can even be like scenario 3. So, my guesswork says that my wish is that India will do it very well, but the logic and whatever things we see in the media tells us that it is not happening in most of the part of the country. So, unless we pull up our socks and improve things, things can go really out of hand. So, till now, what about deaths? Till now I was talking about the number of cases. So, we should remember that if we give relaxation, the number of cases will start rising from 10 to 14 days from the date of relaxation, and deaths will again lag by another 2 weeks, because somebody develops a disease, it takes another couple of weeks for them to die. So, this is how it goes. So, give relaxation today, after 2 weeks the cases will increase, after another 2 weeks the death rate will increase. So, death rate, there is a slight lag. Same is with the once you lock down, the cases will come down in another 1 week time, 1 week to 10 days time, and the deaths will come down in another 2 weeks time. That is how the things work. So, if you look at the number of deaths per day, you can see here on 8th April India reported only 16 deaths. From that, on 20th May India had 126 deaths. So, how does this increase go? Increase happen. Initially it used to double every weekly, but later on it is slightly flattened, and at the last we had an increase around 1.2 times. For 13th May 103 people died, from that 20th May 126 people died. So, there was an increase of 1.2 times. If the same 1.2 continues, that is the best case scenario, because we have relaxed the lockdown and a lot of other things have happened. Measures, lot of easing of lockdown has happened over last 2 weeks. So, if we can keep a growth rate of 1.2, that will be fantastic. So, from 126 cases, if we do the best, the number of cases which will be reported on 17th June will be 279. But if we don't do scenario 2, like I told you, there is less masking and there is increased travel, and testing and tracing and is not up to the mark, then what will happen is the numbers can go up from 1.2 times to 1.4 times. So, the number of cases at the end of 17th June will be, number of deaths at the end of 17th June will be 362. If still it is not followed, like in normal travel, very low masking, very poor tracing and isolation, it can really go out of hand, and India can report around 500 to 600 deaths per day around 17th June. So, what are we talking about? The total death projection of India as 27th May is the scenario 1 will be 4,400, but 17th June will be 8,800. That is the best case scenario. In scenario 2, there will be 10,000 deaths by 17th June. In scenario 3, there will be 13,000 to 14,000 deaths by middle June. So, you can see that there is around 5,000 lives we can save if we just do essential travel, do good masking, good social distancing, and governments do two stuff. One, they offer good treatment to most of the patients. Second, effective tracing and isolation. So if government does its part, and much more importantly, all the citizens have to do their part. As all of us know, government has done lockdown, they have tried to contain the disease to an extent, and they have educated the citizens. Now it is the responsibility of each and every Indian citizen to obey the rules and do all from their part, because no government can fight this coronavirus alone. All of us need to chip in and do our part. Even if 90% of the citizens obey all the guidelines set by the government, we can easily beat corona and we can decrease the death rates. So it is our responsibility to decide how many deaths has to happen in this country, whether it's 8,000 or 13,000. So as citizens of this country, we need to wake up and respond to this huge challenge in front of us. So how India does in future depends on how each of India's states do. As all of us know, most of the states in India are as big as many of the countries. Maharashtra is as big as Japan. Gujarat is as big as Thailand. UP is almost as big as US, not as big as, but almost as big as US. So each state has to do well, otherwise we may report as many cases as those countries have reported. So India's future depends on how each state handle this unique crisis. How each state is doing, and which are the states we are doing better, and which are the states which need to improve, that will talk in the next video. So let us hope for the best, but let us prepare for the worst, because we don't know what is in store. And I am sure India will overcome this crisis and we will emerge as victorious. For this, as a citizen of this great country, let us work together against this unseen enemy. Thank you.